your home for over 18 years of horse racing action. The Sport of Kings, featuring Tommy Walski. On today's show, we meet up with trainer Rob Van Overshot. Carmen catches you up on all the news. Our race of the week is a strong field of fillies and mares going at it over 6.5 furlongs. Tommy recaps some of the major stakes in racing across the nation. We look back in the archives in case you missed it. Our salute to the champions remembers one of racing's equine heroes. And now here he is, BC's ambassador to the world of horse racing, Mr. Tommy Walski.
Great show we have today. You're going to be looking at two of the best fillies in North America later on in the program. But first up, we're going to take you behind the scenes to see what makes a trainer successful. We visited with trainer Robert Van Overshot at his barn, and this is one interesting and very candid person.
When I was in high school, I never intended to be a trainer. It wasn't my plan. After high school, I was apprenticing for heavy-duty mechanic. I used to come here in the morning, because my job started at 1 in the afternoon until 9 at night. So I used to come here in the morning and play around with the horses because my friends were involved and I was kind of involved. And then at the end of that year, well, sometime during that year, I claimed my first horse for $2,500. A horse called Ak War. He went on to win like 7 in a row for me. And I lost him, I think, for $16,000. So now I was in trouble, because now I had to make a choice, because all of a sudden everyone wants you to train their horse. I decided to be training horses, and actually I claimed another one along the way. Right after I lost him, I claimed another one for $2,500, and it won 5 in a row. So now I'm into it, but I found out in reality real quick, because the next year I had something like 17 or 18 horses, and before racing started, I knew in the barn I only had 1 or 2 that could really run. The rest were not much horse, so I knew I was in trouble. Not all horses are race horses. Some are. Most of them fit in a certain category. You know, if they got anything going for them at the right level, they'll win. But you get some horses that just aren't much at all. Just the way it is. When you do run a large outfit, is it difficult to place them? It's not tough. It's the owners. They got to let you run them where they can make some money. That's the hard thing, is letting the owners. A lot of them are a little high on their horse. I can remember way back when, first, second year I was training, I had a bunch of horses, and I told 2 or 3 owners that their horses, there's no sense training them, they can't run. And I got fired, and they went to other trainers. A year later, when they'd run last 2 or 3 times, they came back and asked me to train horses for them. So it actually worked out. Oh, so it works out. Yeah. You know, a lot of them don't want to hear it, really, but they realize you weren't, because some guys will keep horses here for a year or 2 years and they never win a race. I mean, it's no fun training something like that, especially now today. On your day money, you don't make much money, hardly anything. Your money is in your 10%. So if you're not winning races, you're not making any money. You're working out a job. Well, part of that is because I got divorced. Oh. That cost me money. So that costs you. So you get set back. So you got to try and recover. But like right now, just to make ends meet, I still have to work another job right now. So hopefully these horses get running good and they start making some money, and then I'll be okay. But everything's gone up so much. Like training horses is, I mean, the cost of everything, train and feed, and your people that work for you and everything else has gone up. Even your gas to drive here has gone up. So the purses really haven't gone up much in the last 5, 6 years, but everything else has. So it's tough. I mean, I know it's tough for the purses to go up, but it's a tough go. And it's tough on the owners. They're putting out a lot of money in. It's tough when a horse has got to make $20,000 a year for the owner to break even. They got to win a couple races at a higher level. The lower level, they got to win 3 or 4. How many people you got working for you? Well, you figure 1 groom per 5 horses and 1 hot walker per 10. I've cut back now. I'm down to like 17. I used to always have 30, 25, 30, maybe sometimes up to 35. But over the years, like the last 2 or 3 years, we've been bringing in Mexicans because there's no one working here anymore. No one wanted to work. You couldn't get anybody, and the people that wanted to work didn't want to do anything. And the wages went way up, and they still couldn't do the work. This year's a little different. This year there's more people around to work. I guess because there's not as many jobs out there. People that used to be here are now coming back for work. Like this year doesn't seem to be as much problem for people working for you anymore. So that helps a little bit. What's your hours like? My hours, well, I'm getting here around 5:30. My help gets here about 5. And I get out of here somewhere around 10:30, 11. Sometimes a little later, but usually 10:30, 11, and then I start work usually about noon. Where's the other job at? Right now it's out in Aldergrove, building. And I usually get done around 6, somewhere in that area. Sometimes an hour later, sometimes an hour earlier, but I work anywhere from 5 to 7 hours a day after I leave here. 5 days a week. I was doing 7 for a while, but not anymore. Now I'm down to 5.
You got 2 kids, 2 nice girls. We see them quite often. A little about them. What are they doing right now? We've got them when they were way back in time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, well, one just turned 16. She's in grade 10.
that would be Amber.
Yeah. She's doing really well, A honor roll student. She's doing great. And the youngest one's 13. She's in grade 8. They're both doing good.
Is it tough being a parent with kids, with young girls on the racetrack?
They've been pretty good girls. It's not worked out bad for me. I mean, we kind of work things whereas when they're involved in a lot of different sports stuff, it's usually during the off season. Like, you know, basketball's a big thing for them and stuff. So it's worked out. You're busy. Like, I mean, a couple of years ago when I was coaching, well, I was coaching them this year too, but I had 2 girls playing basketball and I was busy every single night of the week. Like, I mean, I was either coaching or prior a game or a practice every night of the week. And that gets tough. And then they got their horses. They're both cattle pen, like Amber and Cass are both into that big time. So on the weekends they're busy.
Rob, how do you find a good horse? Because you've had a bunch of them. I mean, you go down the list. Elusive Force.
Most of the better horses I've had, Canyon raised them. I mean, I've had a few other good horses along the way too. But how do you find a good horse? You got to have lots of luck. Well, I mean, you go a little bit confirmation, and I think patience is a big thing. Like, I mean, you start rushing these young horses, they're ruined. I mean, they're kind of like, they're like people athletes. Like, I mean, you see a lot of kids that are great hockey players or great football or great baseball players, but you put too much pressure on them too early, and they fall apart. I mean, there's lots of kids out there with tons of talent, but because of the pressure, they couldn't deal with it. I think running horses, I think mentally is a big part of it. Like, if they got, lots of horses got talent, but mentally they can't handle it. So you got to do the right things. Don't ask them to work too early. Don't ask them to run too early. You know, just do the right things, because if they got the talent, you got to bring it out of them. And it's tough. Like, especially the owners nowadays, they want to hurry up and get their horses running. So if you push on a young horse too hard, they'll fall apart on you.
Elusive Force. Best memory.
Best memory? Winning the Ascot. No one thought he'd be able to run long, and he just romped going a mile and 16ths in the Ascot. And I'd also said when he was 2, like, he was such a, I knew the first or second time I worked him, he was a really nice horse. And the first time I ever worked him 5/8 in his life, I hooked him up with a 3-year-old, and he outworked it. And I said then, this is a nice horse.
Lord Samurai.
Biggest thrill with him? Winning the Futurity. Getting left at the gate, coming from last and winning. He was a favorite, but he still got there. I trained him for it. I went to the Alberta Derby, and they're all like thinking I was crazy. And he romped. He won for fun. Davey was easing him coming to the wire. He won by 3.
What's the positive side of this game?
The positive side is seeing your results win races. When you work hard and they go out there and they run hard for you. I mean, not all horses are superstars, but just seeing a horse go out there and give you everything what it's got, and you know you've done everything you can to get it there, that's the gratifying part, is just to get out of it what you can get out of it.
Now to get you up to date with all the happenings in and around the track, let's saddle up with our own Carmen Thomas.
There are some new additions to the jockey colony at Hastings Racecourse. Jockey Reed Saldana found his way north, and we caught up with him in the paddock to ask Reed about his riding background and why he's here.
I'm originally from Los Angeles, California. I was born and raised there. Did a little bit of riding at Santa Anita. Most of my riding came at Golden Gate. Most of my winning came at Golden Gate, so I'm just happy to be here.
What brought you here?
Trapper, my agent, Travis, he gave me a call, and it just seemed like a good spot. You know, you guys have some good money out here, and the race seems really good, so I said, hey, let's give it a shot, and hopefully I can stay here as a journeyman. So that's my main goal.
And in other jockey news, there's also a new apprentice jockey at Hastings Racecourse, Ontario native Tabitha Morrison. Morrison has most recently been riding in California, but has decided to now call Vancouver home. Tommy caught up with her in the paddock to ask her how long she's been riding.
Not quite a year.
Where were you riding at?
In Southern California. Fresno, Fairplex, and a few races at Hollywood as well.
What brought you here?
The purses. I thought maybe it would be a good opportunity to come back out to Canada, being a Canadian, and not needing to deal with visa issues.
Sports newscaster Gary Rabel has retired after 36 years of covering Vancouver sports, including horse racing, and his retirement party was held at none other than Hastings Racecourse. While at the track, Rabel had the chance to decorate the winning horse of a race named in his honor. Rabel made the decision to retire so he and his wife can join his sons and grandchildren in West Kelowna.
Gary, congratulations on your retirement. Well earned.
Yeah. Well, I'm a little stunned because I keep telling everybody I've taken early retirement, but I haven't really retired. So somewhere up in the Okanagan, if they've got a job for me up there in any way, shape, or form that has anything to do with the media, it's going to be great. But nothing's going to top today. This has just been outstanding. This has been great to see so many of the guys that I worked with and worked against. Okay, it's just been terrific. And
Your favorite highlight from Hastings?
back in the old CJOR days, the voice of the races with Jack Short. Our generation, Dan Jukic. The guy is absolutely the best. I can't believe any opportunity that I get to go up and watch this guy work from the press box and work from the announce booth. I just love it. I love to hear this guy call the races, and that'll be the highlight that I'll remember the most.
Good luck, Gary.
Yeah, thanks.
Greg, your memories of Gary?
Well, Tommy, it goes back so far. When he was just a student at CJJC, if you can imagine that, and at BCIT, yeah, breaking in, you knew right away that this was a guy that really cared about the business. And as he proved over 38 years, he did, because he helped a lot of young people get involved. He was a mentor, really, and we're going to miss him. But he's only in Kelowna, so he's not that far away.
Next Saturday, June 6th, marks the running of the $1 million Belmont Stakes, the final leg of the Triple Crown. And this could be your chance to see a rematch between Kentucky Derby winner Mind That Bird and Preakness winner Rachel Alexandra. You can catch all the action here at Hastings Racecourse. And this coming up Friday, June 5th, is your first chance of the season to come out for Friday night live racing. There will be 16 Friday nights of racing through the summer, with the final one on September 25th. The post time of the first race starts at 7 p.m. And from trackside at Hastings Racecourse, I'm Carmen Thomas, and now you're back on track.
Hey, racing fans, here's what the Sport of Kings is working on for upcoming shows.
I remember the trolley buses being lined up, oh, God, for blocks to bring people to the races at Lansdowne. And it was a good racetrack then.
At that point in time, it was just a decision I had to make. Again, I'm looking at this being my final year, and I got a shot to ride an extremely nice horse.
Now it's time for our Racing Across the Nation part of the program. And just as we always do, we feature the top races, top horses that you can only watch on the Sport of Kings. First up, we're headed to Hollywood Park in Southern California. You're going to be looking at the champion filly, Zenyatta. She's making her first start since winning the Breeders' Cup Distaff last fall. In this race, Zenyatta, number 9, is in her usual position. You won't believe it when you see it. She's dead last throughout the running. Keep your eye on the 9 horse.
Justice broke well, goes for the front from Champagne Eyes, who's into the bit. Champagne Eyes puts her neck in front. All I can say is wow, away in third. Taste Sis is at the rail fourth. Then Life is Sweet, and at the back of the pack, it's Zenyatta. Zenyatta already about 10 lengths behind Gambler's Justice and Champagne Eyes to the backstretch. It is Gambler's Justice a half length in front of Champagne Eyes in second. All I can say is wow is into the bit for Joe Talamo. She's at the rail third and a willing third too, less than a length and a half from the front. Taste Sis is tugging in fourth. Those four are about 9 or 10 clear of Life is Sweet, and the champion Zenyatta is 14 lengths behind as they head up the backstretch in the 57th Milady Handicap Gambler's Justice, 4.5 furlongs from the wire and 3/4 of a length in front of Champagne Eyes in second. All I can say is wow, stays at the rail, bides her time, 2 from the front. Taste Sis has 3.5 to make up. Zenyatta has moved inside of Life is Sweet, but she had to check off her stablemate's heels. Zenyatta now going to have to come around, and 3 furlongs from the wire, Zenyatta is still 10 lengths behind as they run towards the top of the stretch. Gambler's Justice, Champagne Eyes, all I can say is wow. Now